Let me see who is here. Ah. So, before I start saying something, how are you doing? Somebody wants to share something, how the practice is going? First, let me see one thing. How many of you, raise your hands, are finding time to sit during the week? Pretty good. Okay. I'm happy about that. Because it is a practice. That's why I like to call it a practice in a way. It's a funny thing because we're practicing how to be. It's like, wait a second. Can you practice how to be? Well, naturally, you don't need to practice. Just be. There's nothing to practice, right? But problem is we went so far from our natural way of being. Yeah, modern man is pretty disconnected from that original self. That's why we need to practice to slowly go back, allow ourselves to, in a way, it's an emptying process, isn't it? So we allow ourselves to remove all that is unnecessary, all that is not us, all that is not real. Remove all that is just part of our egoic self, which it has its own function in a society, in the system, but it has no business in the inner world, in meditation. There's nothing to do with mindfulness either. So, yeah, it's a process of simplifying and emptying and allow ourselves at least that time when we're sitting to be, well, present, so watchful of whatever arises. But we could say that one of the principle of the practice, and maybe you don't like to hear that, is to become nobody. To become a nobody. Now, I'm sure that your ego is going like, whoa, wait a second. What do you mean a nobody? Because that's something they would tell you when they want to put you down or make you feel bad, no? Or like when somebody says, well, you failed, or, maybe you were little, and they would tell you, oh my God, you will just be a nobody like that, Well, that was a compliment. Actually, if anybody would tell you that, take it as a compliment. It's like that. So moving deeper into meditation, you move more towards a space where you are nobody. And nobody in the sense that the ego, it's somebody. Yeah. And just presence, your natural being, which is a simple, pure witnessing consciousness. That's a nobody. It's not somebody, There's not like a personality that is not a clear ego that you can identify with. There is not an egoic mind that keeps chattering. There is a presence that is aware of everything that is arising and everything that is perceived. That is you. But that's not somebody. It's not a person, it's a presence. Yeah, big difference. So through meditation, we want to move more and more towards presence and away from personality. Because the person is a mask that we put on to, as I said, to function, but we want to move more towards presence. In order to do that, we have to empty, we have to release the parts that are just not real. The ego is not real. The ego is like a shadow. In the moment you bring in the light of your awareness, the shadow disappears. Yeah, like you. So we try to facilitate or to remain aware of the fact that we want to support a spaciousness, a silence, a stillness inside. I go back to the S Trinity: space, silence, stillness. These are qualities of the self, of the true self. As much as love is, that's also a quality of the true self. Sometimes you might feel good, like, oh, I had a really good session. I could really be quiet. I could sense the space and the silence, or I felt a lot of stillness. And other times you might feel like, oh man, I'm just not getting this meditation thing, you know. I sit and it's just like blah, 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 so much going on, thinking this, thinking that, you know. I can't be present. Oh, I was a failure, you know. Sometimes your mind will try to tell you, you are failing. You don't know how to meditate. So don't listen to that. Remember when you get up from your cushion to be grateful about however the session was, you know. If it was quiet and peaceful and spacious and blissful, beautiful. If it was busy with thought and you just kept watching your mind going left and right from the past to the future and trying to organize your life, organize your day, or remembering what happened yesterday, it's okay. Still get up from the cushion with a gratefulness in your heart that you took the time to sit. You took the time to practice. It doesn't matter what happens in the practice, in the sitting. In the sitting, we just be there, be watchful and observe everything. So sometimes we might observe bliss. Sometimes we might observe sadness, depression. Sometimes we might observe space. Sometimes we might observe a lot of thoughts. It doesn't matter what we observe. You see, the point is the observer is not the observed. The point is not the experiences that are happening or the perception. Those are the object. What matters is the subject, which is the watcher, the witnessing consciousness. So that you witness peace and blissfulness, or that you witness thoughts and you feel fidgety and anxious, whatever, it doesn't matter because it's the same witness. only the objects change in the inner. Suppose that you close your eyes. Suppose you watch a movie. And so we could say, okay, this inner consciousness in which everything is perceived is like a big movie screen, right? Sometimes it's empty. Sometimes the screen, there are beautiful pictures of birds flying, the geese flying over the Himalayas peaks, and just silence and peace. Sometimes it's a war movie. Sometimes it's a thriller. Yeah. Sometimes it's a love story. Oh, it doesn't matter. It's a movie. Yeah. So you are the one that is watching the movie. It's a big shift in the beginning because we're so used to be identified with the objects. Yeah. We're so used from when we were brought up to get identified with, yeah, all the emotions and all the thoughts that are going on, all the slowly you get identified with all your preconceived ideas. What is right, what is wrong, what is beautiful, what is ugly, all the little structure of the ego. And we just believe it because we hold on to that. You know why? Because we lost touch in the meanwhile with our true self. And you cannot live without a self, without a center. You need a center to live, otherwise you go mad, otherwise you don't function. So the ego became our center. We substitute, the more ego it grew, the more we move away from the original self. And so we let go, or we forgot of the original self, and we disidentify from that because we identify with the ego, and we took that to be ourselves. We took that to be our center. And so we are more and more, as the time goes by, as you get older, from a baby to a child to a girl or a boy to an adult, the ego crystallized more and more. And that means we became more and more identified. Oh, I'm that. So whatever I'm thinking, any thought that crosses my mind suddenly is like the truth. It's like, whoa, this is really happening. This is real. Any concept you have in right and wrong, you're really firm about it because, well, and this is my truth, and that's obviously the truth. Well, it's a relative truth. Anything it's based in ego, it's a relative truth. What is based in the original self, it's absolute, the truth with a capital T. Otherwise, we live in a world of relative truth. Look what's happening in these days with the coronavirus hype. Everybody has a different perception. No, they're like a big polarization. Like there are people that are like, oh my God, yeah, it's really like the way the news and the TVs are portraying it. We're living a pandemic. It's really dangerous to even to get out. And other people that are like, guys, this is just a big hype. It's happening, but it's not what they are trying to make you believe. Don't be so afraid. There is no need. And this is getting so polarized in many ways. So what is the truth? Well, this for a clear example, there is a relative truth, right? We live in a world of relative truth. Everybody has his own truth. That is based in your egoic self. So when we're able to be a nobody, even for a few moments, a few minutes, we connect with something that is more genuine, more truth. And it's not something esoteric, eh? It's not like, oh my God, I have to practice for years and meditate for years to reach a space of nobodiness, or to, really be able to access that spaciousness. No, you don't need to practice years. It takes 1 second. Okay, maybe 2 or 3 seconds, but not more. Because, you know why? The Buddhists say thought is faster than the speed of light. Actually, they measure it somehow. I don't know. They get very scientific about it. So all it takes for a thought to start or to stop is 1 second, let's say. So when a thought ends and before the next one starts, there is a space. Watch that. It's so simple. It's right there. When there's no activity of the mind, when you're not doing anything with your body, when you don't want to go anywhere, when you want to reach anything, what is left? What is there? It's just beingness. It's just your being in that moment. There is space, there is silence, sense of spaciousness, it's quiet. There's a certain stillness. Well, there you have it. Dive into that. Enjoy it. Give it energy, give it attention, because as I was saying, attention nourishes. Wherever you put your attention, you nourish that thing. So don't nourish your thoughts, nourish the space between two thoughts. And that doesn't take years to get to that place. It takes 1 second. It's happening. Any moment you are unoccupied, any moment your mind stops because for whatever reason, it's right there. You are right there. That's the space we're talking about. It doesn't take years. It's again the mind that wants to make you believe that. So then you could say, okay, Shasa, but you're a little contradicting yourself. In the beginning, you said practice is needed. Now you're saying, everything is happening in a second. Well, they're both true. Because to be able to nourish that sense of space, to be able to put your attention more and more in the space between two thoughts, it takes practice. Through practice, you get more and more familiar with that sense of spaciousness, or you become more familiar with the process of witnessing, and observing your thoughts, your perceptions, your emotions, anything. You become more familiar with that. And slowly, you perceive, yeah, I see, I get it now. I am the one that is observing. I'm not all the events that are being witnessed. I'm not all that is going on. That is going on, but I am the one that is watching it, so I cannot be that. An object cannot watch itself. It needs a subject. So meditation, remember, it's about the subject, it's subjectivity. Meditation is not about experiences, but about beingness. So I gave you, and I'm giving you some tools to help you in your practice. Because sometimes, and there's no need to deny it, sometimes it's challenging because mind is very busy. Okay. So one thing we decided, okay, but it's still okay because it's a movie. Today it's a very busy movie. It's a little thriller. Tomorrow is going to be a peaceful movie. The day after a love story. It keeps changing. Every session, every practice, every time you sit is going to be different. There's never going to be two sittings that are the same. So take that as a fact because everything keeps changing. Everything. Everything is impermanent and everything keeps moving. The present moment, the now, is not something stuck, frozen, but oh, this is the now, and it's like this, well-defined, it fits in this box, and that's the now, and nothing changes. The now is in constant change. It's a constant evolution, the present moment. It's an eternal, constant movement, evolving. So even in the now, even when you're present, you keep witnessing a certain movement. Even if there are no thoughts, even within stillness, you can still perceive that there is a slight change happening. So, nothing to worry about. Every session that you sit with yourself is going to be different. So don't hold on to the one that happened yesterday and you want that to be the same because it was so peaceful. Or don't hold on to the one of yesterday that was a madhouse because, oh my God, I'm so afraid it's going to be like that again. Just, that's just mind. Every time you sit with an innocent of a baby, like, well, I don't know what to expect. I'm going to just sit. Don't even think I'm going to meditate. That's just doing. Just think I'm going to just sit with myself and be quiet, close my eyes and watch. That's it. Don't even call it meditation. Otherwise you get into a mind trip, oh, I'm meditating now. Just sit with yourself. So when the mind is very busy, I was saying, I'm giving you some tools to use. And those tools are our anchors. I introduce you to 3 of the anchors, and I'm going to introduce you to the 4th one today, which is, let me see if I find it. You guys have this. I put it on the Telegram group, yeah? So a small recap. Anchors, remaining present through feeling. So we're going to use the feeling as an anchor in the present moment. Yeah, simple. So we move away from the analytical mind of the thinking, and we move to the sensorial mind, let's call it, where we feel and we sense. This is to help us grounding ourselves in the present moment. So this is like in the very beginning of your sitting, you can do this. It always works magic. And the first is to feel the body. Yeah, that's what we do when we do the little guided meditation together. Feel the body from the inside. Yeah, that's why I start. And then we feel the energy of the earth, and we notice that the more we relax, the more we sense this heaviness, and we start rooting ourselves into the ground, into the earth. Great. At the same time, we also become aware of the gentle lift from the top of the head. So we're actually not collapsing into the earth. We are just like pulled from both ends. So it's very easy to stay in that sitting erect, with erect spine, aligned neck, very grounded, very present, and very sustained from the sky as well. And then, because the physical body is actually connecting sky, which is positive, and earth, which is negative. So like every polarity is connected by something, and with the body, the physical body is a link between these two polarities, and we are right sitting in the middle. So we start by feeling, by embodying ourselves, basically. So first step, always enter through the physical body, always, because it's the easiest, it's the closest to us, it's the most obvious, it's the most tangible. It's the easiest thing to anchor yourself to the present moment. You anchor yourself to the physical body, yeah? Then you notice, after you've done that, you have a good position, you feel good sitting, and you feel like, okay, you start moving more inward, you start feeling the inner space. And the first thing easy also to notice and to feel is the breath. So the anchor is the breathing and how to feel the breath. You know, you can spend hours, months, years just on that if you want. You can really practice only breathing, only awareness to the breath. Any of these anchors are happening that you're aware or not, they are kind of happening anyway. So that's why I don't like to call them techniques. Technique is something that you do something to achieve something else. But these are state of beingness, actually. They're not technique. We're not trying to achieve anything. If we're simply quiet, we notice this thing anyway. They're happening. They're part of being. Yeah. So the body, the feeling of the body, the sensations, the gravity, the force of the gravitation, they're all happening. So, but if we're lost in thought, we don't notice it, of course. But when we become quiet, all these anchors are there. And they're all there all at the same time. It's not that only one is there. Now, you put your attention on one. So right now we're noticing, okay, it's easier to start to put the attention on the physical body. So it's like a path that we take. There is an entrance. So that's the entrance. Then we notice the breath. The breath is like, at that point, you are starting really to relax. There is a sense of spaciousness because you are relaxing and you're grounded in yourself. It's easy to feel the breath and to notice the breath. It's almost like it's floating inside this inner space. Beautiful. If you want to move through other perception, there is the sense of listening, the one we did last session. You notice that too. Oh, I'm noticing sounds. And I'm also noticing silence, because there is silence between sounds. Or maybe there are no sounds at all. And then you notice that the outer silence sometimes and the inner silence, they seem to become one. You don't know what's outer and inner again. Beautiful. Let that happen. You might feel like, I think it was Rafaela last time that was saying, I moved through sounds, through listening to sounds. She fell into a very quiet, very spacious space. Yeah, a spaciousness. You might feel that you're falling into a spaciousness. Don't worry, everything is good. That's part of the process. We are moving from the physical through the formless. Yeah, we're moving from the form, which is the body, to the formless, which is consciousness. It's fine. So remember, you're still rooted in the ground, but you allow yourself to move also in a deeper space that is more formless. So you might perceive what she was perceiving last time. Whoa, I so got into I was so listening with such a totality that I became completely still inside. That happens with this anchor. And very silent inside. Suddenly the sounds were like echoing in my inner silence. Yes, you might feel like that. Suddenly that inner silence might become a vast space. Sometimes it might feel like scary. Whoa, if I'm gonna fall into the silence, it feels bottomless. I don't know it. I'm not familiar with that. That's okay. Don't be afraid. We're afraid just because we're used to identify with objects, so we're comfortable identify with all the thoughts, yak, 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 yak. But suddenly there is silence and space, and the mind freaks out. It's like, oh my God, I don't know that space. It's true. In a way, you don't know it, but it's yourself too. It's your consciousness. It's space as well. You're just not used to it. So let yourself be that space too. So this takes us to the fourth anchor that is like, feel the inner space. Yeah, here it is. Feel the inner space from form to formless. This process, as you observe it, it comes again from form, from body, as we said, to breath. Breath is like a bridge between form and formless because it's perceivable in the physical body, but it's prana, it's air, it's chi, it's energy coming into the body in the form of air, let's say. So it's both, it's physical and it's not. So it's a beautiful bridge between the physical, the form, and the formless. Listening to sounds. Sounds are vibration, so there is something physical in them, but they're also very fine. We're moving into the formless. And that anchor, it's listening to sound and silence. Silence is formless again. So we're moving between vibration, sounds that are a kind of an object, to silence that is formless. And we can move directly sometime into feeling the inner space, which is the formless, which is consciousness, which is you can also look at it like the empty screen, we were talking about before, the empty screen on which every movie, every image, every perception is projected. And we're going to try a technique today. That's kind of a technique. How to feel the inner space. I'm going to help you with that. We start from feeling the skin, which is not always easy. Sometimes it is, depends for people. And then we first feel again, we go from the form, from feeling the skin, which is part of our form, our body. And then we feel this space that the skin is enclosing. We feel that as an empty space. Much like if you were like a vase, yeah, or a pot, a vase that has a surface that encloses a space inside an emptiness. Or a sack or a bag, a sack of skin that is empty. Yeah. So here, that's why it says, feel the skin and feel the inner space that this skin encloses. Okay. So that's our fourth anchor. As I was saying, all these four anchors can be perceived at the same time because they're happening at the same time too. Or you can stay just with one. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you will be facilitating that space of just presence and allow the mind to be quiet. In the beginning, it's good to practice one at a time. Actually, follow that progression that I gave you. After practicing, you might close your eyes and find yourself in a space where all four are there and you feel everything at the same time, and that's okay too. Again, it can be a progression or it can be instant. There are two schools in the world. There is one that supports the concept of sudden enlightenment, like in Zen, for example, or the one that support the enlightenment is a process that you work through and you grow slowly to a place that we call self-realization. That's more the yoga path, for example. Discipline and work. You walk through this path, and gradually you grow into go back to your true self. Both those are possible. It's not one better than the other. They're both true. It's a little bit like we were saying in the beginning, well, wait a second, I need to practice, but you're saying it takes only a second. Yes, they're both true. So if you follow Patanjali, which was the founder of yoga, which was an amazing enlightened being that lived, God, we talk about 5,000 years ago already. Patanjali wrote these amazing sutras on which most of the yoga is based on. His path was the path to gradual enlightenment. Or if you follow some Zen masters, or Bodhidharma, those guys, they would tell you, where are you going? It's all here. It's right here in this moment. Yeah, there's no path. You're already where you need to be. It's all here. It's sudden and now. Yeah, different approaches, but it doesn't matter. It's all the same thing. Okay. Now let's move out of the conceptual mind that is receiving all these informations from Shastra. It's like, ooh. And we let them all go. And we sit. And maybe we'll be very quiet, maybe not. But the main thing is that we observe anything that arises. There might be a lot of silence arising. There might be a lot of mind arising. It doesn't matter. But we practice the anchors. So today I'll guide you through the beginning, still the same body awareness, sensations, and then we'll move quickly into the fourth anchor. Okay, so when you're ready, find a comfortable position. And when you're ready, close your eyes. And start feeling the body from the inside. What does it feel like? Is there some parts that are a little still holding? Then I bring my attention there and release. Let the holding go. Melt it away. Let it dissolve. Scan your body quickly and release tight areas. Let your body become more fluid. Through relaxation. Perceiving the weight of the body on the cushion, on the chair, on the floor. Let yourself sink down. The more you relax, the more you sink into the floor, like sending roots into the earth. That's your here. That's where you are in this moment. You're physically here. That is your here. That spot where you're sitting. And this moment is the now. We also perceive a little lift on top of the head, as if there is a vertical line we're sitting in that is sustaining us, running through the body vertically, connecting earth and sky. That vertical line is the now. Let yourself sit in that verticality, in that vertical line. And in this place you're in, you're here and you're now. And as you keep perceiving the body, start putting your attention to perceiving the skin that is covering your body. Sometimes it's easy you can try to put your hands with the palms up, and feel the skin of the palm of your hands. That's one of the easier ones to feel. Yeah, you feel the skin. You might feel warmth or you might feel coolness. Sense that. Sense the skin of the palm of your hands. And then sense the skin of the back of your hand that is touching your lap or touching some surface or your legs. And see if you can feel your hands like a whole, the whole skin that covers the back and the front, the palms and the back of the hands. Feel the skin of your hands and move up through the wrists to your forearms. Then add the feeling to the hands. Feel the skin of the forearms and the arms. If you can't feel it, they can visualize it. And keep moving up to the shoulders, the skin of the shoulder. And you keep adding to it the skin of the neck and the head and the scalp. And the face of your skin, that's also easier to feel sometimes. You add that. So you're keeping integrating, incorporating, adding from the hands to arms, shoulders, neck, scalp, face. Connecting all the skin. Feel the skin around your eyes, your forehead. You might feel a little tight. You want to relax it. The skin around your mouth. The skin of your lips, where they're touching each other. And your eyelid also, that are closed and touching each other. You might feel that. Beautiful. And we keep adding. We go down to the skin that covers the chest and the whole torso and the back. All the way down, keep feeling it or imagining covering your upper body now completely down to the hips. And feeling the skin of the pelvic area. Adding that. Keep adding new parts. Then going down to the thighs. The skin that covers the thighs. And the knees. And the calf. So now we feel all the skin also of the legs. And finally the feet. We add the feet to close this perimeter of the body, coming to full circle, to completion by feeling the feet. And also the bottom of the feet, it's a little easier to feel. You might feel a certain temperature, sometimes a little tingling. Feel this or imagine it now as a whole. The skin that covers your whole body. Stay with that feeling. You're feeling the very perimeter of your physical form, the outermost layer of your physical form. Now perceive the skin as a whole, covering the whole body. And now you start feeling the space that is enclosed by the skin. So we imagine or feel. Feeling is better, but if you can't feel it, imagine it. That the skin is enclosing an empty space. Like if you wear an empty bag, a skin bag, or a leather bag that is empty. or a sack, or a vase, or you might feel like a balloon that's been blown and has a very thin skin, but is empty inside. If any image helps you, use that. Whatever helps you to perceive the spaciousness inside the balloon or inside the vase or inside the bag. The space, the emptiness. That is your inner space. Floating in this inner space, I notice the movement of the breath that is happening by itself. That physical movement is happening within this emptiness, within this formless space. That's what we call the inner body. And within this space, I witness anything that is perceived, anything that arises. Sometimes it might be a feeling, a sensation, sometimes a sound, like the sound of my voice is perceived in that inner space, even though it seems like it comes from outside. It is perceived in that inner space. You can feel it right now as I talk. My voice resonating or being perceived in your inner space. And anything else is perceived in this space. Everything that happens, it happens in this inner space. Everything that is perceived and observed are objects that are coming and going. They appear, they exist while they cross this inner space or they float in this inner space, and then they disappear again. So there is a subtle, constant change of this inner space that even though it's empty, sometimes it's full with objects. Might be thoughts, it might be emotions, might be feelings, might be moods, might be sensorial perceptions. They're all happening within this inner space, which is consciousness. And you are the awareness that is aware of all these objects, of all these perceptions. You're the subject. You are the one that is watching the screen and watching this movie that keeps changing. Witnessing the screen sometimes is empty also. There are no object, just silence, space, stillness. Then we nourish that spaciousness. We nourish it with our attention. We let ourselves sink into that spaciousness. We make ourselves at home in that spaciousness because, in fact, it is our home, our true home. Keep feeling, observing. And if anything arises, you let it arise as you observe it, and then you observe it that it goes, wherever that is. Remember that you are that space, that inner space, in which everything is happening or nothing is happening. Stay with that awareness that you are that inner space. A witnessing, conscious, alert, spaciousness. Try not to hold on to any of the objects as you're aware of them. You just let them be and let them come and go, remembering to bring your attention back to the space, to the emptiness in which all that is perceived. Let yourself be a nobody, just a presence. Without holding on to anything. Observing the object as they come and go across the screen. And allow the screen to be empty again by not holding on to them, but coming back to the empty screen, to the space, to a sky without clouds. Nourish that when the sky is empty. Let yourself sink in there, make yourself comfortable. Feel at home. Till the next thought might arise, and then you watch it as it unfolds, goes across the screen, and you let it exit again without holding on to it. Just let it go. Be empty again. Be just a presence. Going back to feel your skin now. Feel your body. Feel the periphery of your body. How does the body feel sitting on the cushion? And gently start opening your eyes when you're ready, moving the body, maybe stretching a little bit. So sweet. Your faces are so relaxed now. They look so different. It's like a baby when it just woke up from bed, you know, it's like that's how you look. Good, good, good. Very nice journey. Mm. So this is a guideline. Huh? Now I had to talk a lot, but when I'm not there talking, you can go through that same process internally, and actually it's faster because you need to wait for Shastra to go through the whole thing, you know. Consciousness can move very fast. So if it takes me 20 minutes now to guide you through that, you know, it can take 2 minutes if you do it by yourself. Follow that as a blueprint, as a guidance, at least in the beginning. Sometimes you might close your eyes and you're right there, like in the space, aware of all the anchors at the same time. Nothing is happening, nothing is moving. You're right there. It might take a second. You never know. You can go from 20 minutes to 1 second. But if that's not the case and you find yourself being very distracted by a lot of stuff, use that process to help you move more and more towards the spaciousness and the stillness. Okay. I want to hear some sharing now from you guys. How was this process for you today? Vicky.
Good morning, everyone. Shastro, all I'm feeling now is just leave me there. It was beautiful.
Shastro, all I feel now is shut up and let me be.
Leave me alone.
Leave me alone. Excellent. That's a very good sign,
The
Mickey.
secret how to stay there and not move.
Excellent. Excellent. That's a very good sign.
That's all I want to say.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Maria.
I'm very bewitched, and there were a lot of colors changing, and I really were observing. Sometimes there were thoughts, but it was a really great experience. Thank you very much.
It's amazing how everything is in constant mutation. Everything keeps changing. Even when you're still, maybe a color is changing into another color. It may be a sound goes away and another sounds appear. Maybe a thought arises and then thought ends. Maybe there is just a sense of spaciousness, but there is a subtle perception that changed within that too. Now, we were saying in the beginning, the now, it's ever unfolding. It's not dead, it's an alive, it's life. It's an alive process that keeps moving, changing, unfolding. An ever unfolding, eternal now. How is that? Fun. I love it. Yeah. Yes, Rafaela.
I was feeling from the beginning a lot of space, but a lot of energy, but not energy. Ooh.
Yes.
And a lot of colors, but it was energy.
Yes.
And then I couldn't stay in my skin. It was
bigger than your skin, bigger than your body.
Bigger than then, and it was then I was it was reaching me a thought, and it was you always saying with your mind you are everywhere, you are Nepal, but I was everywhere. But I was in nowhere. It was and what is happening to me sometimes, and this feeling that I'm missing this, that's like missing home. As I think when I was a child, it was a very difficult sad moment in my life, and I was thinking I cannot live anymore. And this moment, I was feeling this this space. It's crazy, but And sometimes that's that I'm feeling that I belong in this space, but I don't know what is this space.
Beautiful.
My soul, is it the universe? What is this?
It's you. It's you. Yes. Exactly. The beautiful, beautiful sharing. I like how you describe all those things are very true. That's what things that happen. You're nowhere. First, you might feel, oh, okay, this is my skin, but this space is bigger than my skin, because that can happen in different ways. Sometimes with me, it happens with sound. I perceive the sound in the beginning, they're outside, but then I watch, well, but they're perceived in the inner space. So then the sounds feel inside of me. But then I go like, but the sounds are also there. And then suddenly the inside and the outside starts going like, ooh, I don't know. I don't know what's inside and outside anymore. You know, and sometimes as you describe it, you might feel like I'm nowhere, but I'm everywhere, because you start getting bigger than your body, because consciousness is not necessary enclosed by a physical body. Yeah. So when you really relax, you might have that feeling that you're expanding, you're bigger than your body. And then suddenly you might feel like you felt, you're everywhere, beautiful. But you're also nowhere. Or you're also here, and the here is, again, it's a very spacious place. And then there might be old memories arising, sometimes connected to a trauma or something, because your conscious is, by expanding, it starts taking the space of entering into the subconscious too. So things that are in the subconscious might arise, like an old memory. Oh yeah, I remember when I was a child, suddenly, you know, and how difficult it was, or whatever, you know, might be pleasant or not pleasant memories. You just let them come up into the light of your awareness. Beautiful. Nothing to be afraid of.
Sometimes I have the feeling the time is, so I am in the past, so I have I'm remembering, but my consciousness is also in my past, and for the reason I don't know if it's just idea or that nee, it's a feeling that I was feeling as a child is calm because I was there. I don't know. Please help me. But time is not like this.
Yes, it's not linear anymore.
No, no.
No.
I'm not.
I mean, for the mind, for in the realm, in the world of the thinking mind, time is linear. It's horizontal. Yeah. So here is the future. Here's the past. Somewhere in the middle, there's the present. Yeah. So we see the mind perceives that and moves into this horizontal dimension always. That's where the mind can only move there. In the middle, through the present, there is the vertical line or the present moment. So when you are in the now, you stop moving horizontally and you start moving vertically. So it's a different dimension. It's a dimension of consciousness. It doesn't respond to time the way mind perceives it. One time, my master and Guruji, Osho, this guy here actually, he explained this concept of time with a beautiful, simple image. I like that. So we talk about the verticality, right? So the now is the vertical line, the vertical dimension. That if you guys remember, I think in one of the first sessions, I was saying everything, every growth and anything that happens on the inner unfolding, it's happening in this vertical line of the present moment, you know. In the horizontal line is just mind, and it's an illusion actually, because the reality is there's only one moment and it's always now. But the mind thinks there is past, present, future. There is past and future for the mind. Present is actually not even part of time. Past and future are part of time. The present is not. The present is now. It's the eternal now. And that's the only thing that truly exists once you remove the thinking mind. So imagine this vertical line as a tree, a big tree. And you have a way to climb on this tree, or you have a ladder, you go up and you sit on top of the tree. So the more you are moving into consciousness and into the present moment, the higher you go on top of the tree gets higher. So when you're on the very top of the tree, imagine there is a pathway passing in front of the tree. So when you are at the bottom of the tree, you see the people that are walking in that moment in front of the tree, right in front of you, right? But then as you become more and more present, you move vertically and you start going up the tree. And when you are on top of the tree, suddenly you see people that are very far away that are coming towards the tree. And you see the one that were in front of the tree, but they are now very far away, they passed, right? So you see the past and the future at the same time, right? But they are your present to you. They are your present. So the lower you are, you know, the more you're close to the base of the tree, the more you see only what's happening in front of the tree, the people that are passing in that moment. And the more up you move, the more you see suddenly the past and the future become part of your present, because you can see the people that will be coming, they are arriving, and see the people that passed, they were here, but they are in your present now. You see them all. I thought that was a brilliant way to describe time, the concept of time. So the more you are close to the ground, the more you just are able to perceive the horizontal line and the reality, you know. And the more up you go, or the more you expand, or the more present you become, the more your present expands, the more you are in consciousness, however you want to say it, you start perceiving it's not a clear demarcation anymore, and past and future are also happening now. I have this feeling sometimes, maybe you had it too at time, like, did you ever have that feeling that everything has already happened? I can't explain it, no? I could never explain it. It's like, I don't know. It's like, yeah, this is happening now, but it's as if it has already happened, or it's like I knew it would happen, or I don't know. It's very difficult to explain it. But it's like that sometimes, you know, it's like, you don't understand why. The concept of time becomes very fluid. And that's a beautiful thing, because it's the mind that wants to make it very fixed and puts everything in boxes, the analytical mind, yeah? But consciousness is a fluid phenomenon. It expands, it contracts, it's everywhere, it's nowhere, it's space, it's form, it's formless. It's all moving, it's like flowing. And so is time. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Rafaela.
Can I ask some?
Yes, Abhinash.
Yeah, I have when I was in the last, then the whole skin disappears and everything disappears. So you are in this empty space, and then suddenly I was kind of, oh, yeah, like as if I was falling asleep. And then suddenly I get, oh, I'm here. I don't know what it. I have the feeling it's also before falling asleep. That I suddenly, yeah, I don't know. It is the kind of, this is a very beautiful space, as if nothing is there, but then you have nothing to hold on to.
Yes.
And then,
Yes.
yeah, the everything disappeared.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You
Yeah.
are not talking, nobody, I feel like, yeah, and it's sunny here, so maybe that's also suddenly you fall asleep. This, and then I have a kind of shock. Oh, I have to be here. I have to be here.
Yeah. So the fact is that your consciousness is here always. Yeah. So, and consciousness is not the body. So being here, it doesn't necessarily mean I am attached to the body. Or we use, even though the body is always present, and we use the physical form to become more present. But when you start expanding into the sense of spaciousness, yeah, when you start expanding into your, which that's what you are, it's your consciousness, you might feel different things. Like Rafaela was saying, I felt like I was bigger than my body, right? Sometime you might have an expansion. You know, when you sometimes start falling asleep and then suddenly you wake up because you felt like you were falling?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. So that happens when we fall asleep because the energy body expands and it's kind of separates or becomes bigger than the physical body. And then something happened, you go like, whoop, and you have this feeling, oh my God, I was falling, you know?
Yeah.
That sense of falling is that energy body that shrinks back into the body suddenly, and it feels like a falling. Yeah. It happens to all of us. It's okay. There's nothing to be afraid of. And sometimes you might also perceive that state, like when you move deeper in meditation, in the beginning, you might even fall asleep because the space between awake and asleep, yeah, it's very similar to a space of deep meditation. And when you're not used to it, the body recognizes that as, oh, I'm going to sleep now, because that's the only thing that knows, you know. As you practice, you know, through the weeks, months, and years, the body also and the brain, everything recognize that it's like, oh, I'm moving into meditation. It's not, I'm moving into sleep. But in the beginning, it's so automatic because the only time we know that kind of quiet stillness, spaciousness is before falling asleep, just before. So sometimes you might also fall asleep because your body thinks, oh, we're going to sleep now. Yeah. But then with practice, you will notice it's easier and easier to stay awake and deeply relax at the same time. And then it's easier to let yourself expand and still be there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like falling into an abyss, like this, and I fell already also in reality in an abyss. So maybe now I have the kind of fear. Oh, I have to to be here,
Yeah.
not to fall unconscious. That's the kind of thing.
Yes. So watch that. Are you really unconscious or not? Because if you are aware that you're falling, or if you are aware that you are afraid of the spaciousness, or if you're aware that you're afraid of the abyss, you're obviously present. You're not asleep. You're not dreaming, right? You're not unconscious. You're conscious. The simple fact that you're aware of a fear, it's a sign that you're very conscious. Yeah. So you watch the fear. You feel, you can feel it a little bit, acknowledge it, and then say, okay, you can go now. It's okay. There's nothing happening. There's no, I'm sitting still. There's nothing happening here. It's a very quiet time for myself. I allow myself to dive into that. And sometimes it's really like that, being completely in the moment. It's a feeling that you're falling into the present moment. You can't just force yourself in the present moment. At a certain point, it's really like a falling, because everything, you let go of everything. It's a deep let go. That's what it is. To become totally present is a deep let go, because you let go of your thought, you let go of your emotions, you let go of your perception, you let go even of your body sometimes. And it's just like, wow. And you feel like you're falling. That falling is, you're falling into the now. And it can feel very vast.
Yeah.
Now. It can feel scary sometimes because we're not used to it. But you go a little bit until you're comfortable. Then if you're not comfortable, okay, come out. Next time you go a little more until you're comfortable. Then, okay, come back. Then again, next time, go a little deeper again. Slowly, in increment, you can do it. It's the same technique we use for trauma. You don't want to re-experience the trauma all at once. If it's a big trauma, you have to go a little bit at a time until you're comfortable. And then when you feel like, whoa, there's too much resistance and fear, okay, come back now. Next session, you go into that same trauma a little deeper now, you know. And then, okay, now it's too much. Okay, good, come back. Don't force it, otherwise you re-traumatize yourself. Yeah. So trauma has to be relieved, but a little bit at a time sometimes, because otherwise it's too much. With awareness, with presence, with consciousness. Not just like a boom, you jump into the trauma and relieve it, okay, and then you're traumatized again. Right? So with consciousness, and sometimes has to be done in increments. Sometimes not, but most of the time, if it's a big trauma, it has to be done in increments. And the same when there is suddenly a huge, vast, infinite abyss opening up that we're not used to be, and nobody in a completely vastness, it can be very scary, you know? It's okay. So we notice that, oh, I'm afraid. Let's see, how much can I go into this space? How much I can let go? Try. And then when you feel a resistant point, like, whoa, okay. Don't go then, come back. Next time, go a little more. Or you might not feel resistance at all. You just enter and have a beautiful experience of consciousness. That can happen too. Either way is fine.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well, that's a lot of beautiful sharings, a lot of beautiful understanding arising. I'm always amazed at what comes out of my mouth too. It's like I am understanding it as I'm speaking. Sometimes it feels like that too. It's like, oh, who is speaking? I don't know, but whoever you are, thank you for thank you for sharing and give us a beautiful way to be together, isn't it? All right, guys. I see there's some messages on the chat. Let me see. Oh, Ajija was here. I didn't even see her. You're still here? No. Mercury left. Okay, there's people that had to leave. So, hugs and kisses to everybody. And namaste to your namaste is that I bow and greet your true self. My true self greets your true self. My consciousness greets your consciousness. That's namaste. Beautiful thing. Yeah, keep up your practice. Keep exploring. Don't be afraid. And if you're afraid, watch that you're afraid. And then you let the fear go. And I'll see you next Friday.